George Clooney and Brad Pitt's new movie, Wolves, is on Apple TV Plus September 27th.
That's where I want you to be now.
So if you want to see George Clooney and Brad Pitt, go to Apple TV Plus.
You got to start the story there.
Or if you want to see Brad Pitt and George Clooney, go to Apple TV Plus.
I am enjoying the show.
And if you want to see their new movie, Wolves,
You can't do it, I'm going to help you out. I can do it, so do it.
definitely go to Apple TV Plus.
Admit it, it's cool. Okay, fine, it was very cool.
Wolves, streaming September 27th on Apple TV Plus. Rated R.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
One of the biggest things that we've adopted, and I guess we did it 3 years ago now, and people are probably going to laugh. I don't bring the kids or the coaches in on Saturday. And coming from Texas, when I coached in Texas, we used to bring coaches and kids in from 8:30 or 9 to noon. I don't do that anymore.
On today's episode of our in-season edition of the Champion Series presented by Signature Championship Rings, we explore the crucial role of consistency in player performance with Casey Dick, the head coach of the Fayetteville Bulldogs, 2023 state champions from Arkansas. Drawing from his college experiences, Coach Dick discusses the challenges of inconsistency and stresses the necessity of a structured practice schedule to optimize player performance. He shares insight on his daily practice structure and highlights the benefits of maintaining consistency for both players and coaches. Additionally, he shares the unique approach of giving Saturdays off to enhance team performance and overall well-being. Stay tuned for our Winning Edge takeaways following the interview.
Jewelry isn't a gift you give just once. It's a way to remind your loved one of a beautiful moment every time they see it. Blue Nile can help you find the gift that says how you feel and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com to find the perfect jewelry gift for any occasion. BlueNile.com.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
On today's season episode of the Coaching Coordinator Podcast, we talk about consistency and what that means to your players in giving them something that they can have some expectations throughout the year. And joining me to discuss that is the head coach at Fayetteville High School, 2023 state champions. Coach, great to have you here.
I appreciate you guys having me. It's awesome to listen to this podcast and now to be on it and just try to give somebody a little bit of something they can implement in their program. It's awesome to be a part of, so I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Coach, before we dig into some of the things with your program, we want to talk about this idea of consistency. And your college career might have been the exact opposite of that in inconsistency from year to year. Talk to us a little bit about your experience as a player, especially as it relates to that idea of consistency.
Absolutely. I grew up in Allen, Texas. I graduated from there in 2005, was committed to go play football at the University of Arkansas when Coach Nutt. That was in 2005 when Coach Nutt was there. And for my freshman and sophomore, junior year, we had Coach Nutt. I had a different offensive coordinator every year, a different position coach every year. And then to throw it really in the mix, my senior year, we got Coach Petrino to come in as the head coach. So I had 4 different offensive coordinators, 4 different position coaches, and then 2 different head coaches in 4 years playing quarterback. And then, as a lot of people know, trying to figure out and learn Coach Petrino's system is like literally trying to learn a foreign language as fast as you can with it shoved down your throat in about 6 months. So there was a lot of different things that I was able to witness. Obviously, been with Coach Nutt, was able to play for Coach Malzahn, was able to play for Alex Wood and David Lee, who had a lot of an extensive time in the NFL with the Vikings and the Cowboys, and then get somebody in like Coach Rufino, who I've never met another person that coached football that I felt like was in the mind of a defensive coordinator better than anybody, and certainly learned a tremendous amount of football from him with just having him roughly for about 8 months. So a lot of different things going on there, but like Keith said, it's kind of going everywhere for 4 years.
Yeah. Well, and you want your players to have consistency in what's going on within your program, and it's something that's helped you to a state championship in 2023. Talk to us a little bit about why you feel it's so important that you're consistent throughout the year with the players, especially in terms of they know what to expect.
And I think, kind of like I talked about a minute ago, in previous years, I would always been the guy that papered off, that cut periods down, that, you know, I was kind of the opposite, just like we talked about earlier. I was always the guy that tried to reduce as much as I could to save kids' legs, if you will. And I believe in doing that, but I believe there's ways within practice that you can also do that. So this year, when we started, I had walked in and told our guys in our preseason meeting, I said, hey, no matter if it's week 0 or all the way through week 14, bye week or whatever, when we go out to practice, our Monday is going to be 18 periods. And for a period for us is 5 minutes. And our Tuesday practice preparation is going to be 22 periods, which would be, again, 5 minutes long in those periods. Wednesday would be 18 periods again, 5 minutes. And then Thursday would be kind of a sprint run through for us, getting special teams on and off, running our situational plays, running our red zone plays, just making sure that we got guys that are injured on special teams running back and forth. So for us, that was really, really big. And one of the reasons why we switched to that, in years past, kids would always come in and say, hey, Coach, what do we have for this? Or why are we doing that? So the way that we told it to them was every Monday, you're going to go out and practice for 18 periods. You're going to lift after practice. And then our coaches go to JV games. So I actually lift those kids after an 18 period practice, whether it's 20 minutes or whatever it is. We think it's vital, obviously, for those guys to get in there about 3 times a week. And then Tuesday, we would just lift the JV guys while the varsity guys met before practice. Again, I would lift all the JV guys while the varsity guys met with their position coaches. And then we would go out and have a 22 period practice, which is our longest day of the week. So you're roughly out there for almost 2 hours if you do the math on that. And then Wednesday, we would lift and meet both everybody. We would have an 18 period practice. And like I said, Thursday, we would do our sprint or run through. So there's a lot of things in there within that week from week 0 to week 10 that we would still have the same number of periods, but it may be less for them as far as, you know, the amount of yardage that they're running. So we're still kind of saving their legs, but they're getting a lot of certain situational type football. They're getting all the adjustments and things that we like to make while still keeping everything relatively exactly the same that we started in week 0.
You mentioned keeping everything the same also in your lifting and in your meetings throughout the year, that you're consistently doing that as well. What do those two things look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think how we kind of started going on this was, like I said, the year before, I was listening to a bunch of college coaches, listening to some podcasts and listening to some guys that play in the NFL, and they were really, really big on being routine oriented. And I think that the kids kind of in this generation now is they want to know what we're doing. They want to know why. They want to know how long. And that's just kind of, I hope that I'm not the only person that's having that issue or that problem, but that is something that our kids want to know. So that's how we kind of got to the philosophy. And that's what I listened to from some other guys that I just kind of stole it from, that they were doing the exact same thing from a meeting to a structure, from a structure standpoint. But those meetings and those lifts for us during the year are about 20 minutes apiece. So you're looking at a Monday meeting is 20 minutes for them, a Tuesday meeting and a lift. So that's 40 minutes before practice. And then we have about 150 kids in our team. So for those kids who obviously go out and get taped after their meeting or before their meeting, that you have to allow obviously for a little bit of transition time in between there. And then Wednesday, like I said, doing it again. And then Thursday with meetings, we're straight outside because we have some junior high games that take place after that. So they know, boom, on Thursday, they get down there, they get dressed as quick as we can. And that practice, by the end of the year, we're on and off the field in about 30 minutes from that sprint run through, just from a routine standpoint. Our kids know what to expect. They know obviously how we want to carry it out. And then if we go out and execute like we can, that's something really, really big that our kids know that, if we go out and execute it and then we get done in 20 minutes, we're done in 20 minutes. But we've got to make sure we have what we call it our game script. We got to have that game script down and ready to go for sure.
It's still a very efficient week. When you look at it, you have those 18-minute periods. So you have 2 90-minute practices. Your long practice is an hour and 50 minutes. And then, as you mentioned, your other practice is 30 minutes. In getting to that number and determining, hey, we're going to have 18, Did you find you'd have to maybe cut some things out that maybe you were used to as a player or previously as a coach?
For sure. I think one of the things that getting to 18 does, it causes you to be more efficient with what you're doing. That's one of the things that we're always constantly, adjusting. Like on Tuesday for us, it's red zone. So they know it's not a whole lot of long distance running, but it's also inside run for our offensive line. So they know they're going to go inside run. And Tuesday for us, honestly, also, we're going good on good for 5 minutes. And we do that all throughout the year. One thing as a head coach that's really, you got to give and take with it. Maybe quick rehearsals, obviously, towards the end of the year. But I do think that there's some validity to obviously guys seeing the speed of the game that they're going to see on Friday, whether they're going to see the same type of plays or not. It's the speed of the game, and just making sure they're staying up at that. So whether you structure 7-on-7 differently, like I said, as you get closer to the end of the year, and it may not be 15 minutes at 10 because you're more efficient with what you're doing. You've narrowed down the game plan, what your guys do well. You know what to expect. And plus, by the end of the year, you're probably not inserting a whole lot of new things. Hopefully, you're not on a week-to-week basis. Obviously, you're going to insert some, but that's probably narrowed down to the end of the year just because you've got a lot of that stuff in that your kids can recall. They can go execute. They don't have to think, and they can go play really, really fast.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
I've been there before. You mentioned tapering down and cutting things out of practice. And the times I've been involved in that, and I don't think it was much as a head coach as it was when I was a coordinator, position coach, and the head coach decided to do those things. I felt like the feel of practice started to get different. And in some ways, I didn't like, I guess, maybe the mentality from the kids that went along with it either. I mean, I agree with you 100% on saving legs. But I think when the routine starts to change, somehow that, I think, affects the mindset a little bit too.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things that you hear Coach Saban and you hear all those guys struggle or talk about it all the time is consistency. Well, we looked at it and said, okay, it doesn't matter if we're playing a team that's won 2 games or a team that's won 8 games. Our practice structure is going to look the same on a week-to-week basis. And I think you look at that and let's just say, for instance, you get to week 7 and you're playing a team that isn't having a great year. Well, you're more probably going to lean towards the side of week 7 saying, oh, well, you can cut down Tuesday from 22 to 18. Well, then you tell your kids that and they're like, oh, well, is that because the first thing they're going to do is look at the schedule and be like, oh, is that because we're playing so-and-so? So I think that's one thing, just like you mentioned from a mentality standpoint, that helped our kids also was it didn't matter who we were playing, where we were playing, or what we were playing, or what scheme we were going up against, or any of those things. It was 18, 22, 18 and game script, and there was no deviating from that. So I'm a big believer in that, and I'm a big believer in kids. Once they're in a routine, you keep them in a routine until you can't anymore and your season's over. But that's just, maybe I'm crazy, but that's just one of the things that we believe in and we adopted for sure.
Yeah, you didn't mention the dress of the day on those. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, what does it look like for you guys as far as helmet, shells, full pads?
Absolutely. So for us, full pads for us is we go helmet, shoulder pads, shorts, and girdles. And we do that every single day. We do it on Monday and we do it on Thursday. Obviously on Thursday, we don't really have a whole bunch of scout looks. And that's a 30-minute practice, like we said, on Thursday. But that's the other thing that we changed to this year was we were helmet, shoulder pads, and girdles every single day. And that's just one thing from a mentality standpoint for our kids leading up into that. I think we noticed that they were more physical. I don't know if it was because we kept the routine the same. We put pads and we wore pads every day. But no, again, everybody walked out there and they knew at any point in time we could say, okay, hey, we're going thud tempo. This is why, and here's what we're doing. But obviously the head coach can dictate the tempo and what we're doing and how that looks. But it was just every single day they knew exactly what to expect. They knew exactly what practice was going to be like. Then nobody had to say, well, one of the things we got into too is if I said, all right, we're taking our shoulder pads off and everybody's wearing girdles and helmets. Well, then the speed and the overall just tempo of practice would drop a little bit. I don't like that. So that was one thing that I helped keep us kind of what I call steady throughout the year with, the enthusiasm, the expectations, the consistency, all those things that people, I think we all struggle with as coaches, just trying to find out. And I think that was one of the things that worked for us big time this year.
Playing 14 weeks, it's a long season, not just for the players, but for the coaches too. How do you keep it consistent for the coaches? What does the work week look like for those guys?
One of the biggest things that we've adopted, and I guess we did it 3 years ago now, and people are probably going to laugh. I don't bring the kids or the coaches in on Saturday. And coming from Texas, when I coached in Texas, we used to bring coaches and kids in from 8:30 or 9 to noon. I don't do that anymore. I believe there's so many kids and our coaches, and it's kind of the job of a head coach also to understand, number one is program, number two is staff, and number three, that your coaches have families also. So I'm real big on our coaches being involved in going to our kids' event. And plus, I found myself every Saturday morning that I brought our kids in, whether they were taking a recruiting visit, they're taking SAT, whatever they're doing, they went hunting or fishing. Well, a lot of those times you're missing 20 or 30 kids that you're missing on Saturday. Well, a lot of those kids are back on Sundays. They don't take college visits on Sundays. They don't do any of those things on Sunday. So we don't bring kids or coaches in on Saturday. And obviously our coaches have online worksheets and huddle responsibilities and things that they have to carry out and be done by a certain time. But on Sunday, we bring our kids in at 2:00 and they're out by 3:45. And then obviously our coaches are up there from 1:30. We have a staff meeting. And then after 1:30, we just obviously game plan for the week after that. But that was one of the things I think helped keep our coaches fresh, because you talk to so many coaches around Texas high school football and Arkansas football, and they still bring everybody in on Saturday. And I'm like, I really think the consistency and then letting your guys sleep in, letting your coaches sleep in, letting them wake up and go to a soccer game and not have to worry about rushing out and do all that stuff, because it's 2024. A lot of that stuff can be done via outside the office. Yet again, you got certain responsibilities and things that need to be done, but it causes head coaches to trust their coaches. So that's one thing that we believe in, that we've done, that's greatly helped us. And it may not work everywhere, but I would certainly encourage somebody to try it, because it's something that those two things that we've talked about in the consistency and giving our guys and our coaches off on Saturday is something that I think greatly helped us the last couple of years for sure.
For your players, that Sunday's just some film and meetings. You guys aren't doing anything out on the field that day?
No, we're not doing anything out on the field. It's just a kind of a flex out workout, and then we watch film from the previous game. Now, there have been times where, like, if we're playing a team that does something absolutely crazy that we don't see a whole lot or so often, we may try to get 20 minutes. It's nothing like you're going out on the field for an hour. Maybe, hey, 20 minutes of this is what you're going to see, because it's different from where we have. Just want everybody to kind of get a head start on it. But there's a lot of times on Sundays where there's a star on the scouting report that's been shared with them. So when they walk in, they're already asking questions about who we're playing the next week and all those things as well.
So Monday through Thursday, what does it look like for your coaches?
A lot of our coaches here where we are, they help and assist coach freshman football. So we'll have, and we're on a block schedule. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, our freshmen have the athletic period. They start practice at 8 and they get done at like 10:30, I believe, on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then on Tuesdays and Thursday, they don't have the athletic period, but our school doesn't start till 8:50. So we're able to still not, I guess it's similar to Texas. We practice our freshmen in the morning. They get up here from about 6:30 or 7, go to about 8:30, and then they go to school, and then we bring every coach comes back in the afternoon and helps coach our varsity program in the afternoon.
That's just Monday, right?
Yeah, that was Monday.
Okay.
That was Monday. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, like I was saying, school starts at 8:50, so we bring our freshmen in before school at 7:30. And then our varsity guys get out at 3:15, and that's when we would kind of start that routine of weights, meetings on Tuesday, and then Wednesday in the afternoon, it would be the exact same thing, and then Thursday as well from that standpoint. So our guys, they have to do a lot just because they're teaching 4 classes, and then they're also doing freshman and varsity football. So it's kind of like, for the most part, 2 days for those guys throughout in the morning and in the afternoon.
Got it. Well, Coach, I appreciate you giving us a peek at how you guys do things and what worked for you, especially in bringing your team to a state championship. And I want to wish you and the Bulldogs best of luck here the rest of the way in 2024.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for having us.
Here are winning edge takeaways and ideas for implementation. 1. Be consistent in practice structure. Coach Dick emphasized the importance of maintaining a consistent practice structure throughout the season. He describes how his team practices with a fixed schedule of 18 periods on Mondays and Wednesdays, 22 periods on Tuesdays, and a sprint run-through on Thursdays. This approach ensures that his players know what to expect and can maintain a steady routine, which helps their preparation and performance. 2. Have a balanced routine for both coaches and players. Coach Dick highlighted the importance of balancing work and personal time for both his players and his coaches. He shared that he doesn't bring his players or coaches in on Saturdays, allowing them to rest and spend time with their families. Instead, they utilize Sundays for a brief film session. This helps both their players and coaches be fresh and motivated throughout the long season. 3, adapt and be efficient in practice. Coach Dick discussed the need to adapt practice sessions to be more efficient by limiting practices to specific periods and focusing on key areas. In situational football, his team can save their legs while still getting the necessary repetition. This efficient use of practice time helps maintain a high level of performance without overburdening the players physically. Thank you again for supporting the Coach and Coordinator podcast. As you know, we want to support coaches at all levels by providing insight into the mindset and the skill set of the best coaches. We also want to share the best tools and technology that they use, and you can find those in our 10% toolkit. The link is in the show notes. Follow all we're doing at coachandcoordinator.com and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.